Lords of Ravage is basically a game where you get to be the bad guy in a dark fantasy world. Think of it like you're the evil overlord that heroes usually try to defeat, except this time you're the one doing the conquering. What makes it interesting is this twist where your army is actually meant to die, and when they do, your powerful boss character jumps onto the battlefield and begins wrecking everyone personally. It's a tactical RPG with some roguelike stuff mixed in, and honestly the art style looks pretty nice too. So here's how it works. You move around the map picking battles and making choices that affect your campaign. The combat itself is turn-based, kind of similar to games like Darkest Dungeon, but with its own mechanics. You start fights by placing your troops on a grid, and then everyone takes turns attacking. Your units use action points, and abilities either cost action points or go on cooldown. The thing is, most of your troops are basically cannon fodder, which means you have essentially two types of units. The generic ones that are just there to die, and special ones with purple banners that you can actually upgrade and customize. You only get to make a limited number of units special, so you have to choose carefully. The main hook is that losing your army isn't actually bad. Your lord character doesn't show up until your troops start dying, or you fill up some kind of meter. When they finally enter the fight, they're way stronger than regular units. They have multiple phases too, so as the battle goes on, they unlock new abilities and get damage boosts or damage reduction. It's a bit like you become the raid boss that the enemy has to deal with. You play as one of 3 lords, and each has their own campaign with different mechanics. The story plays out through these memory fragments where you're trying to find some powerful artifacts. There's a system called Menace where if you make brutal choices, like slaughtering villagers, you get stronger but the enemy also gets tougher, to match your threat level. Between battles, you explore the map and run into events. Some give you resources like gold or books, which you can use to upgrade units. Others let you recruit new troops or find artifacts. The roguelike part comes from how runs are structured. You unlock new stuff as you play, and each campaign plays out differently, based on the choices you make and the units you find. The game has different factions you can recruit from too, and you are supposed to mix and match them, so you can find the best combinations. The combat has this extra aspect where you can use edicts, which are basically spells you cast from the sidelines, to either help your troops or hurt enemies. You get energy points each turn to spend on these. There are also artifacts that give passive bonuses, like one that makes your lord deal damage to all enemies at the end of each turn. The strategy comes from managing your disposable troops properly, knowing when to sacrifice them, and figuring out which units are worth upgrading. The enemy variety so far seems decent. The AI targets your units based on threat, and you can use abilities to force them to attack specific characters, which is especially useful for protecting your weaker units. If a unit dies, sometimes they trigger effects like giving everyone else temporary health, or dealing damage, so even dying can be useful. The whole system encourages you to be aggressive and trade units when it makes sense. The campaigns are non-linear, meaning your choices can actually change how the story unfolds. You can completely destroy kingdoms or manipulate politics to cause chaos. The game does track your actions and adjusts accordingly, and since the game has 3 different lords with their own campaigns, there's a reason to replay it multiple times. As for the resource management, the choices on the map often make you pick between immediate rewards and long-term benefits, like choosing between gold now or getting better units for later fights. Some events wound your troops but gives you more resources. The game's pixel art style is really clean and detailed. The backgrounds have depth, with hills and environmental details. The spell effects look good, and character animations are smooth, so the battlefields actually feel like real places, instead of just flat arenas. And that sentence concludes today's video. If your time was respected, a like or comment is very much appreciated.